Hi, I'm Edgar Hernandez.
And I'm Nuri Robles. And this is
Bar Talking
Bar, your access to the heartbeat of New York City's bar and hospitality scene.
Hosted straight from the city that never sleeps, we sit down with bartenders, brands and ambassadors, hospitality pros, and cocktail lovers.
Whether it's the art of bartending, the hustle behind hospitality, or the wildest bar tales, expect raw conversations and industry secrets.
Listen to the people who pour your favorite cocktails and keep the nightlife alive.
If you love bars, spirits, and the stories that bring them to life, follow us, share, and subscribe to keep the conversations flowing.
The podcast that you didn't know you need.
New episodes weekly.
Welcome back to another week of your favorite podcast,
Bar Talking Bar.
So we started with a little more energy today.
Yeah.
I want to start by acknowledging everyone who has been listening to us, everyone who has been watching, and also sending us messages and reposting, because that's important.
Definitely repost it.
Exactly. So another week, and today we have an amazing guest. Why don't you help me
Of course.
welcome you by clapping?
Yeah.
Peter
Markelson, partner and owner of Drink33.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Peter, so we're so thankful that you make space for us. We're very happy to show the audience your story, your journey, and everything in between. Right?
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
And we also say that many people knows you, and we want you to introduce for the audience that doesn't know you and now is gonna know you. Please.
You don't know, now you know.
Sure. My name is Peter Markelson. I'm one of the partners at Drink, known as Drink33 as well. We decided to add the 33 so that it's a little easier to find on Google Maps, but it is just Drink.
Okay.
It's located on 154 East 33rd Street, 33rd and 3rd.
Uh-huh.
Pretty easy to remember. Drink 33. 1933 was also when Prohibition ended. That was kind of a thing as well. But it's a tattoo and cocktail parlor. We've got a tattoo shop on the second floor, and then a cocktail bar on the first floor.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a really cool space. It's the old Middle Branch space. I'm very, very grateful, very privileged.
It is a really nice space. We have been there in the past, and honestly, we've been planning to try to go. I actually drove through.
Papi, come.
Yeah.
That's it. Andale, let's go.
Vámonos.
We go right now.
Let's go. So, see you guys there.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you for seeing us today.
But we always try to, with our guests, people knows you as a bartender or the owner, but they don't know who you are. Right?
Sure.
Like, how do you started your journey? Like, sometimes you go through like fun times, like horrible times. So if you want to share, how do you start in the
Sure.
time?
Yes. So I'm from Washington Heights. My parents are immigrants from the Soviet Union, first generation. Still live in Washington Heights. 17 years ago, I got into hospitality, and there was a bar that had opened up in my neighborhood that I really enjoyed frequenting. It was a beer bar. I loved the energy, and it was so different from anything that had existed in Washington Heights up until that point. Most bars were like hookah lounges, and or just like a place to get a burger, a High Life or something, or Jaeger.
Shots.
Which I love Jaeger. Shout out, sponsor me, love you.
Sponsor us too.
Yeah, there you go. It's green, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was badgering the manager there, and I really wanted to work there, and I became friends with the bartender there, who was kind of like there pretty much every night. I went to the bar for him, and it was like the first time I realized like you can have like a following, like there can be human beings that like are so attracted to your energy, your attention, your love, and your ability to be a part of a community, that they'll welcome you and you want to come back for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's really inspiring to see things like that. I really wanted to be his friend. I really wanted to work with him, under him. And I was like, man, I want to bartend here. And he's like, that's not how it works. You don't just get hired as a 19, 20-year-old bartender. Yeah, you gotta wash some dishes, mop some puke off the floor. You know?
It's true.
I feel like a lot of us, when we started, we went through that phase.
Yeah.
But that's what made you get to the point,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool in our industry now that if you want to bartend, there's enough places that need more workers that they'll teach you. And you don't have to go through all of those same growing pains. And I think there's definitely a lot of beauty in that. But I think you gain a lot more humility and grace working your way up.
Many times, like you said, you see the bartender and you're like, oh, I want to be a bartender. And it feels like, oh, you're just going to learn some recipes and, mix it and that's it. But it's like we call it, right? Hospitality, what is service, how you're going to, talk to your guests, how you're going to set up your stations, and how you're going to talk to other coworkers,
Sure.
right? Because we have, there's like, unfortunately, people that they don't go to hospitality, they go higher for whatever reasons. And sometimes they are like super rude with the customers, with the coworkers. And sometimes they don't know what is mise en place and things like that. And, sometimes also it's hard when they don't want to learn. And it puts the team in risk, right?
Yeah, I think it's also because, not mentioning that you wanted to work with a bartender, you kind of like already want it and know that you really wanted to like be or learn from him because he's showcasing this good energy, like, in a way.
Yeah.
The hospitality part, plus, the drinks and the food or the moment, at the place, like you said, like the following, because I like how the guy provides service to me, how I feel welcome. So I want to go back and I want to learn from that person, you know? I want to learn to be like him, not be him, but like, because when you work your way up, you basically develop your own character.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to learn because there's an establishment who has to teach you, policies and procedures and movements and whatnot. But it is important to learn from somebody, and I think that's important because when somebody puts you under the wing, per se, you cannot become the mentee, and you learn as you go. And it's always better, in my own, experience, I think what I've seen is always better to see somebody who started from, point A and go to point C, rather than going A to C, you know what I'm saying? Like
Sure,
like
yeah. Missing the steps.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you build your way up and you learn, you absorb more if you do those steps rather than just going A to C.
Yeah.
So how do you learn your steps to way up?
Yeah. So I got hired. I was lucky. I got hired. They hired me on a very busy shift. Because the person who was bar backing didn't want to work it, basically. They knew it was going to be a shit show. It was Yeshiva University had an open bar event. It was a mess. They were drinking like it was a civil war and they were getting their limbs cut off tomorrow.
They just ran the desert like a 22 mile.
they were like horses without dogs. They were fucking running rampant. They didn't give a fuck about tomorrow. They were in that moment, and man, so many things to clean, so many things to do. And I didn't end up getting hired until
so you worked that night?
So I worked that training shift, and then I didn't end up getting hired until maybe like 3 months later, 4 months later. I kept asking, and then, finally, whatever, they hired me. The big gripe was. It was a beer bar, 26 beers on tap, another 100 in bottles and cans and whatever. But they were like, he's 4 pounds soaking wet. How the fuck is he going to lift a keg? And that was the main argument that the GM had. And the owner was like, give him a chance. He works hard. He's passionate. he doesn't know anything, but he can learn,
Yeah.
So he did hire me, and my best friend at the time, who now he's the GM of a really cool beer bar in the West Village called Blind Tiger, amazing bar. Go to Blind Tiger, go visit Lucas.
Ask for Lucas.
Ask for Lucas. Don't ask for Lucas. He'll hate that.
Oh, okay.
He'll hate that. Actually, ask for Lucas. He's gonna hate that.
Say Peter sent me.
Yeah. Say Peter sent me. He
I know
said.
the owner.
Yeah. No, I'm not the owner there. No.
No, but Lucas is like, you go.
Yeah. Lucas will stab me in the leg with a dull knife. But
With a dull knife.
with a dull knife. Yeah. But my best friend and I lived across the street from each other, and he was a bar back there as well. And there would be a keg that would need to be changed, and I couldn't do that, so I would just call him, and he would go
Oh, no.
and just change the keg for me. I mean, like, to say that out loud, it sounds insane. Can you imagine you're working a busy bar backing shift, and you call your friend to go and do your job for you? That's like,
That's what you call a friend.
that's a friend, yeah.
Yeah, that's what a friend.
Yeah.
Because imagine, like, he could probably said, you know what, I'm busy. But
He never
showed
did
up.
that. He
showed up?
always showed up. He always showed up.
Wow. And what's his name?
Lucas.
Hey, Lucas. Thank
We're
you.
going to go in
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, we'll go together. But yeah, so that's kind of where I started. I was slowly trying to learn to bartend, and then I ended up getting an opportunity to work at this sister restaurant that was like half a step above a diner, and I thought it was like fancy because they had like stale bread that they would press in a panini to make it hot, and then give you oil with like a bunch of different herbs and spices in it.
Oh,
And
that sounds good, actually.
It's delicious. It's a
Yeah.
great way to not throw out stale bread. But yeah, that was the kind of place that it was, and the way that it was done was they kind of segregated the dining hall from the bar, and so the bartender took care of the bar and like the few seats,
Outside the
like tables that are there, and then the server would take care of like the whole dining hall and then the outside patio.
Wow. So one
And-
server or multiple servers?
I mean, I was incredible. So it was just one when I was working.
Oh,
It took me a long time to get there. I was at that bar for at that restaurant for like 3 years, 4 years. But yeah, the servers would make their own drinks.
wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it was like,
with like 2 sections?
what's up?
Busy, like with 2 sections and still making your cocktails?
Yeah. There was 13 tables inside, and then I believe like 10 outside or something. But they were all like along the wall.
Yeah.
And the tables, like, I mean, it was like the entire room was probably maybe 3 times the size of this room. So it wasn't huge. You know?
Okay.
I mean, all the tables were like together.
Yeah.
And then the bar would be, maybe 60 feet away.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't bad. And I didn't know anything, and I would, mess with the bartender and ask her questions, and she was really patient with me. And I was like, what's in an old fashioned again? How do you make a sangria?
Oh, you were like doing like.
I was making the drinks. Yeah.
Like old fashions and.
Yeah. We were. I mean, this was 17, 16 years ago. But yeah, that was 16 years ago, I think. Almost. No, 15. It was 15 years ago. But yeah, like the drinks were like, they were like Applebee's recipes. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
wasn't like anything amazing. It was. But it was cool. I worked my way up. I started bartending there, and then I ended up actually like I guess being the head bartender. There wasn't like a title. I would do inventory. I would tell the owner like, hey, we should order this. I was in charge of making their cocktail menu, and the cocktail menu was nothing. It was nothing. You could probably get something better at a dive bar now than what I was making back then. We started using fresh pressed juices because I ended up explaining that it's cheaper, and I proved it. Now I don't necessarily know that it's cheaper.
Sure.
It's a little easier to make super juice, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story.
Well, I have to. We can talk about later, but I
Yeah.
always feel like, for some reason, in the past we were talking about like, oh, the drinks or the sweeteners, they have a lot of like, chemicals and stuff like that. And then nowadays I saw a post like saying, nowadays we put this, and that, and everything, right? And my only opinion about the super juice is like, if you don't know what you're doing, it tastes like horrible. Like, yeah, like
For sure. I mean, like so like at my place, we have a bunch of like classic cocktails on the menu where we don't use super juice. So super juice we make for my signature drinks that I end up clarifying.
Okay.
And then we have a little bit of leftover super juice. It typically only gets used when I have guests, like friends in the industry. I have this sort of fun thing that I do where I have them go behind my bar and make a daiquiri. You know, it was inspired by when I was barbacking at Employees Only. I would see, you know, bartenders from all around the world come, and they would do that, and I was like, that's cool. And like,
Yeah.
that's a fun little.
I feel like that's a
touch.
classic, because
Yeah, I mean, daiquiri's probably the only cocktail that I drink when I go out. You know, typically I stick to whiskey and beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have friends of mine from the industry when they come visit my bar, or when they come visit, you know, the other bartenders working. I always say like, hey, make sure before they leave, get a little video of them making, you know, a daiquiri. But other than that, we use what we call acid bath. It's just an acid solution. We adjust it to the citrus of a lime, and then all of my cordials and syrups, they're all measured. So I measure the bricks percentage, so that they're always 30%, so that all of my syrups, cordials, sacrums, they all end up being able to be interchanged in anything. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we create like a sort of standardization, you know, at my place. But yeah, we use the acid bath.
That's,
you know,
that's cool, because so you can still reuse some of the leftover peels and you know, whenever you use.
Yeah.
So basically,
well, I mean, I use the whole fruit. Like,
Yeah,
I have very little space.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, you know, when we buy, you know, when we buy produce and perishables, like, we have to make sure that it gets used as soon as possible.
yeah, because a lot of the times they just get discarded. And
Yeah,
you know,
we can't really. I really try to minimize the waste for sure. You know, like, I've got a cocktail on my menu that uses. It comes with like it's like a 20-month aged Parmigiano Reggiano that we add some spiced Manuka honey that we spice in house, and then we add Maldon salt that we blitz with black truffle trimmings, and that goes on top, and then it's this beautiful like vodka martini variation.
I was thinking martini, like
it's a vodka
mind
martini. I make a croissant liqueur.
Wow.
Um,
You infuse that croissants or?
yeah, I take brown butter. Well, I take butter. I you know, make it into ghee, and I brown it.
Okay.
And then I pull that out, let it rest so that it gets to room temperature, and then I make a caramel syrup with just granulated sugar, you know, and then like some vanilla extract and some cinnamon sticks, and then pull that out, and then I take croissants and I roughly chop them, you know, throw them in.
Actually.
They get coated in all of that butter and that caramel that we just made, and then that all goes into a sous vide with a neutral grain spirit. I'm not going to promote them because fuck you, pay me. Listen, man, nothing in this world is free at this point. I've realized that.
It's all about the money.
No, but seriously, if you want to sponsor me to make my croissant liqueur, that'd be great. Any neutral grain spirit, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I'll take anyone. But yeah, so I put that in a sous vide with some spices and herbs, and then we make a invisible tomato. Add that. I take a blend of different fortified wines with the vodka, and then we add saline solution and olive bitters. Okay. You know.
Wow. It all sounds really, really good. Like, it's complex.
Yeah.
But when you started talking about that, I was like, I'm trying like to imagine that in my mind, but I feel like my palate was kind of like savoring it already. I'm like, I'm just salivating by thinking about it.
And thank you for explaining that, because that comes with another part of like when people go to bars now and they say it's super expensive. Why it's super expensive, right? But
it's super expensive because, you know, the city is
obviously the city
expensive.
It's expensive, but also it gets like, you know, you put a croissants, butter, and everything. And it's kind of like, you know, like
the process and the technique take time. It's just not one thing. Like, you know, if you can compare a cocktail that you're describing versus a margarita, you can build a margarita on the spot.
Yeah.
But this cocktail, it's unique in its own way because you created it. It's something that you're only gonna get in this place, so you can come and have it here, enjoy it, and I think that's what makes it, you know, like the price, like, you know, like the city itself, it's already like the cost of living here is expensive. Sometimes I get people who get surprised by the prices. I remember a few years ago, you know, 13 was the kind of like your baseline. Now everywhere in the city you go, it's at least 19 to 20.
I think it's 20
and above. Like
I think it's 20.
Like
it's like it's I mean, you know, I won't name any bars, but you know, I've gone out and spent $85 on 2 drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that seems and you know what? Like you're not just paying for the technique, you're not just paying for the labor, you're not just paying for the hospitality. You know, you're renting a space.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If you want to drink for free, I think you should be able to. I firmly believe that, like, if you want to drink for free, you should. Just pay rent for the space that you take up.
Yeah.
Understand how much your square footage is worth and how much needs to be done for that square footage. And you just pay that, and then you drink for free every day.
Yeah.
That's fine. I can guarantee you it's a lot more than what you're going to pay for a drink. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, all my drinks there's definitely like a lot of prep for them. But like I said, you know, I try to be as sustainable as we can. So like the rinds from the Parmesan, that gets infused into a tequila cocktail. That's also like a martini variation. That's the one you may have seen it. It's the one with the little MSG cocaine baggie.
Actually, that was so crazy because I was looking at a video that a friend, she was yesterday at your bar.
Lynette.
Oh, Lynette, yeah, so I went to high school with Lynette.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've known Lynette since
what a small world we're living, you guys.
Since she was 13. 13,
okay,
we've known each other.
So
I love her.
Yeah, we love her too. But then I saw the video, and then I saw this guy with a little bag and putting the powder in his hand, and I was like, why are they posting this? This is so illegal. and then when he was like doing it, I swear I was thinking that he's gonna snort it, and then he just put it in his mouth, and I was like, oh, okay. And then he drinks, and I was like, oh, wow, that was great.
So the idea behind it was I wanted to have a couple cocktails that gave you the edginess. You know, again, like it's a tattoo and cocktail parlor, right? The tattoo shop's upstairs. There's tons of nights where the upstairs is not being utilized as a bar, you know, but there's a tattoo going on. You know, if someone comes in, like our shop is open from 11 to 6, and the bar opens up at 6. But if you come in at, you know, you have an appointment for 3, let's say, and you're willing to sit for 8 hours. I mean, to get a tattoo. I mean, look, you've got tattoos. I'm sure you understand. You know, they take time. They take a lot of time. So, you know, sometimes we'll have service and you'll hear the buzzing upstairs.
And somebody screaming, ah!
Hopefully they're not screaming.
No.
But, you know, it's a cool thing. They're like, oh, what is that? And we'll tell them about the tattoo shop, and, you know, they'll go upstairs and they'll see that. Yeah, so it's I think it's a really cool experience, you know. Like, I think that if I was a guest in a cocktail bar, like, I think that would be really, really fun for me. You know, and it's still fun for me when I go upstairs and I see someone getting tattooed. I'm like, this is so cool. You know, it feels a little dangerous. And so I wanted my cocktails to sort of reflect that as well, you know. So I have, you know, that one with the MSG baggie, you know, and it's such a fun experience. You know, I think that people like the interactive aspect of drinking nowadays as well. You know, so a lot of my cocktails, they have like an accoutrement, or there's like a ceremonial sort of thing, you know, but it's essentially a tequila martini variation, very juicy, and you know, it's supposed to remind you of the first time you did you had a shot of tequila, right?
Okay.
Now it's not cool for you to go up to a bar, order a shot of tequila, ask the bartender, hey, can I get some salt? Can you cut some limes? Like, oh, you need training wheels? That's cool. But
Yeah.
like, there was something fun about that experience, you know, that like still, like it's fun, like it's cool, like you're doing
Yeah.
something with your friends, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, it'd be really cool to bring that back, but kind of elevate it and then also make it a little bit more grungy, more like risque, like should I be doing
You
this?
know what I think actually about the shots is because people started drinking a little bit more mezcal.
Yeah.
And mezcal doesn't require salt. Like
Yeah.
you don't see people taking shots of mezcal and putting salt
Yeah.
on their hands. So, and I think that's why they kind of like diverted to like just having a
To
you know,
learn how to
yeah, like
take a
or
shot.
just like a shot or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
clean shots.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes I think is better because when you take 2 tequila shots with a lot of salt in it, your stomach's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah, 100% with the salt and the lime. Yeah, of course. So at my place, it's MSG. Then you have the cocktail, and then there's a little tomato chip that I dehydrate.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I add a bunch of different acids, some sugar, some salt, you know, and it gets dehydrated, and it's like the umami makes your mouth water and like salivate and dry out. You know?
I want to invite you guys to come and sit with us and have a drink because my mouth is just like, and my
Yeah,
mind is
like-
thinking.
You know, I
I'm like,
kind of want to drink.
I feel like
I said no
can
earlier,
touch
but now
it.
I would love a
I
drink.
want to touch it. I want to touch it.
So this sounds super exciting, and
Yeah.
I know it takes a lot of like knowledge and practice and everything. So going back, like you were saying about your experience working as a
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
bartender.
Sorry, I
but
digress.
No. It's super cool because
I get excited talking about drinks.
no, but it's super cool because I feel that reflects that, you know, this young guy that he didn't know how to bar back.
Yeah.
And nowadays you're like, I'm dehydrating and cutting ice
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that. But also,
And like the like your mind is in a different space, you know.
Yeah.
so obviously it takes time and takes knowledge and experience and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you were doing this bartending, your first bartending in Washington Heights.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened next? About
So I worked there for quite a while, and it was a lot of fun, you know. And then, you know, like everything, things run its course. You know, you want to grow more. You know, like I want to like. At that point, I was learning a lot, very slowly, because I didn't have anyone to teach me. I had outgrown everyone that I worked with, and so and the internet just wasn't like where it is. Like it's so cool to be on a podcast like this. Like this didn't exist. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
You wanted to know something about like your favorite bartender or your favorite bar, you had to go visit. You know what I mean? Or you had to have a friend who knows them. You know?
Yeah.
You know, this social media aspect is like insane and so wonderful in a lot of ways. I mean, detrimental as well, I guess, but it has a lot of beauty. I used to get off of work because it was like they closed at like by like 11 midnight, and then I'd go take a train downtown to go visit, you know, all the best bars that existed in New York, and I would sit and I would like ask the bartender questions. You know, that was the only way you learned.
Do you remember
You know.
some of them?
Yeah. There was a great guy. He used to work at Employees Only. Dev Johnson. He's now, I believe, he's the manager of the Quarter Store, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Or maybe 86. I don't know if he left or not, but he was really kind to me. You know, he shared his phone number with me. I was like a baby bartender. I would text him all the time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you know, I would go visit him like all the time and throw money at him to try to ask him as many questions as I could. You know, because I'm like, dude, again, nothing is free, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I would ask him about different types of absinthe, and he's like, dude, it's fucking absinthe. You're using like 3 dashes. Who gives a shit about the brand? Take the cheapest one or the one that's being given to you for free, you know?
Yeah.
You can make a rattlesnake, you know? Or like, oh, how do you guys make an old fashioned? What do you guys do for your Manhattan? You know? And that's kind of how I learned, you know, slowly. And then I started trying to implement those things at the restaurant that I was at. And, you know, I realized like, okay, like this place has kind of run its course for me and my growth. And I wanted to continue. And so I started working at this really cool whiskey bar that was like, it had cocktails that at the time I felt were like, wow, but I mean, I don't know, like it's a hibiscus sour, you know, like, okay, like that. You know, it's mint and hot sauce with vodka and citrus, you know.
Which was kind of like, I think, the beginning of like this boom of like,
Yeah.
new-
Well, there's more modern techniques that are being implemented now, that, you know, more culinary sort of things that are being done, which I think is really cool to know that there are bars that are like doing, you know, things like, you know, freezing techniques to rapid infuse, or freezing techniques to clarify, you know.
In Japan, that's what they do
experimenting.
in China.
Yeah, like
They
it's
like
so
rapid
cool
freezing.
to me, like all these things that you can now like see, and it's kind of like the norm, you know. But yeah, so I worked at this whiskey bar. I had like 4 shifts a week, and one of them was a double. And every Sunday I would wash every bottle of whiskey in the back bar. There was like 300 or 400 bottles.
Where you had to wash every.
I didn't have to. I chose to.
Oh, okay.
I chose to. It was a slow night, or a slow day, or whatever, between brunch and night service. So I was like, okay, like. So I had a. This is actually what happened. At the restaurant that I had worked at previously, the owner had asked me about one of the bottles behind the bar. I couldn't tell him anything. And he was like, you know you've been working for me for 4 years? 4 years. Those bottles have been sitting behind you. And you can't tell me anything about them. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you consider yourself the best? The best doesn't know anything? Like that's normal to you?
How do you feel like?
I was so embarrassed, man. I was so embarrassed. But I was humbled. But I was humbled, you know, because there's a thing that happens, I think, in bartending that's really interesting, and in anything really, right? Music or whatever, when you're learning a new language, you learn 20%, and you believe you have 80% of the knowledge. Because you absorb everything so quickly in the beginning, you know, because you're so eager, it's all so new. Everything to you is like, I want to learn this, you know. And I was really humbled by that. And so when I went to the whiskey bar, that was one of the things I was like, yeah, I'll take the slow shift, you know. I mean, not I'll take it. That's what they offered me, let's be honest. But yes, I would wash every single bottle, like wipe it down, whatever, wipe down the shelf. And I would choose, originally it was 2, then it became 3, then it became 5 whiskeys every week that I would taste.
Okay.
And I would learn everything I could that was available on the bottle or online. You know, didn't have ChatGPT back then. That would have been really nice. But, you know, you do that over the course of 2 years. You learn quite a bit, you know. And then I wanted to get into like more cocktails, and there was a really cool bar in Harlem that I was like really into, and it's closer to home. That's kind of nice. The Honeywell, amazing bar.
Oh yeah, we love that.
So I started working there. I was learning, you know, quite a bit about cocktails as well. You know, there was a guy, Evan. He's now working at Nobu downtown. But he taught me a lot. I mean, he taught me how to throw my first drink. You know. That was cool. Now all of the cocktails in my bar are either thrown or stirred. I only have one shake and drink, and it's because it has egg white.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, because everything else is either clarified or uses the acid bath. But you know, and I learned so much there, and it was so cool to me. Again, like, you know, and then I kind of just started collecting badges like all over the city. Like, I want to learn this. Okay, where do I go? You know.
Yeah.
So then I worked at ROKC, the Japanese bar, opened by 2 former Angel Share bartenders and one guy who worked at the original Experimental Cocktail Club here in New York when it was on Bowery 15 years ago. I learned a lot from them, and that was really, again, humbling experience.
How many years did you work with them, or how long did you work
At them, I worked about a year or something, and then the pandemic happened.
Oh,
you
okay,
know?
so this is
And then the pandemic happened. I worked at Amore Amargo,
Okay.
and then
How was your experience at Amor?
it was awesome. It was so much fun.
You know, like
It's awesome. I loved it. Like again, like I was like, oh, like I have unlimited knowledge of like Amari, and I was like,
Amari,
man, it'd be
yeah.
really cool to like learn some stuff. And that was like, again, like I've been really lucky to work at all the places that I love to go to. Like that's such a cool thing for me, you know. Like yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool to me.
That's so cool because it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
And what they do for why, and the reason of why they're doing it, because I mean, I'm gonna use Amore Amargo for example. We've been there and we love it.
Yeah.
We don't go there as often.
240 square feet, man.
Yeah, it's
They're
so small.
amazing.
And I remember when they used to have the small space in the back. I don't know if they still have it.
It's still so they changed the space in the front again to make room for one of their sister restaurants, and now they just have the original space, 240 square feet. They gave it a little facelift.
Right.
It looks
Okay.
really pretty. Yeah, I was just there. The head bartender Bruce. It was his last day.
I know. I was
So
gonna say
I went.
actually, Bruce's last day was.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him recently, but I remember during the pandemic, I was trying to get some bitters from the city, and I was trying to order online. I can't remember, and the only way I could get bitters from was Amore Amargo. So I ended up going there because they had like a storefront. I think you remember. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And they had bitters, and I remember grabbing like 3 different kinds of bitters. Like, and then Bruce was there, but he was also wearing a mask.
Yeah, of course.
And I met Bruce through Nuri, because Nuri and Bruce worked together for a
we
while.
worked a little bit in
At
the
Italy?
No, the John Dory.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the
Nice.
John Dory.
The John Dory,
Yeah.
that was a short lived.
Yeah. But, you know, they have a.
What happened? They closed or what?
Yeah, they closed.
Oh, okay.
They have a, you know, it's a long story with the
Mm-hmm.
back in the days when.
I think that was also Sach Petrasky's.
Yeah, actually, the reason I started working there is because I really want to be trained by him. But unfortunately, I always said like he passed during that week. So I didn't need him.
He passed during that week.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So this is 2016 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So I remember when he passed.
Yeah, it was really, really, you know, tragic. And but you know, I met Bruce there, and then eventually I reconnected with him with Amore Amargo.
And Amore Amargo, because I mean, and one of the reasons, honestly, why I started listening to podcasts is because of Souther.
Yeah,
and,
Souther
and I mentioned
Teague's,
this
a
earlier.
Speakeasy podcast. Go listen to it.
Yeah.
Souther Teague.
Yeah, I've
Brilliant.
listened to it, and the reason why I listened to it is
I'm waiting for you to invite me. I'll just do podcasts. Forget owning a bar. Can I just go and do podcasts all the time?
This is what we do.
This is it. What'd you do today? I did a podcast again.
I work hard.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I heard about the podcast is because one of our former Beverage directors, she was invited to the podcast. And you know, she didn't say anything, but I think she posted it, or I don't know why, how I found out. And then I saw her and I listened, you know, so I started listening. I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. And I started listening to it. And then I started listening to different podcasts, you know, in Spanish too. And because that's my first language. I started speaking Spanish. I mean, started like listening in Spanish. So I was like, wow, that's cool. Like, why can we, like, all the information that you can hear from podcasts is so good. But at the same time, like, we decided, why don't we tell stories, like the stories that we have? Because us, as you know, as humans, they don't see this part right here, right?
Yeah.
They only see those 6 inches of marble, like you said, like
For sure.
Like that's
Yeah.
like they just see you as a bartender, robot. They're heartless.
Yeah.
But sometimes
the guy can yell at.
exactly. But
or girl.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, hey. So I think like connecting with people and people understanding what we do and our passion, our profession, and the human part of why we do this. You know, like
For
we
sure.
love it because you have to love it. You have to love what you do
100%.
because working late nights is not easy, and your body's not gonna take it for like forever. whatever you have to go through to get to the position you want to be at, it's your person, like
For
personal.
For sure.
You want to,
100%.
if you want to grow is there. It's just for you to take the chance and ask for it. Because a lot of times I feel like I see people try to like move up, but they don't ask for the position or they don't ask to be moved up. It's just up to you, like, hey, I want to learn, like you say, I want to learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
I want to go there. Like, I want to put myself in this uncomfortable position where I have to learn more. And I feel like that's the part that you always have to keep us growth-wise, like you want to learn. You always want to learn something different.
For sure.
Everywhere, every day.
For sure.
What were you about to say?
No, I think everything goes connected to like your story. Like you were very eager to learn. You were very enthusiastic about like, mentioning like I didn't learn my back bottles because probably you were like thinking about the front of like Hollywood. But then
just didn't think it. Nobody had ever mentioned it to me. I didn't even think about because again, like this is a restaurant in Washington Heights, right? Now there's seminars, there's there's tastings, all these brands. They're like, oh, come in and I'll teach you about agave spirits. I'll teach you about the different types of rums. I'll teach you, what.
we do happy hours.
But that didn't exist. It just didn't exist 2 decades ago.
No,
that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, we also talk about sometimes when you had, if you started working at a place, you just go there and perform, like the day they train you, where things are, how do you do it, how do you serve, how do you, spill-wise, how do you tell people what you have to sell, because at the end of the day you have something to, offer. But sometimes you don't really get to see the entire back bar, as a bartender, bartender perspective. Even if you're a barback, you start learning like, hey, can you give me a bottle of Kettle One, for example? I don't, a bottle of Vodka. Can you give me a bottle of whiskey? Can you give me a bottle of tequila? Like, the bottle by the name, but you don't know where it comes from. Like you know
nothing about it.
Exactly. You don't taste it. You don't have a little bit of history what the bottle is called, why it's called, where it comes from originally. Like if it's a Kentucky whiskey versus a Tennessee whiskey, what is that? Or is it a Japanese style whiskey? Is it like a Scotch whiskey? Because for us we generalize whiskey.
No,
as
keep going about the whiskey. I want to learn.
Right. See, like when we categorize things and we kind of like break it down into where it come from and like knowing the bottle. I feel like that's when you start like developing there's like the passion per se, but also your knowledge gives you the confidence to say
100%.
To say things. This is what I have. Everything in the back bar that I have right now, I have to tell you a story about it. It gives me something to give you,
For sure.
Offer you, perhaps.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think also like it comes with the evolution as well as the community with bartenders.
Yeah.
Because I think in the past it was like the bartenders that they didn't want to share anything, and they were like, this is my bar.
Gatekeeping.
They were like,
that was definitely a thing when I was growing up.
The bartenders.
Now it's like everyone wants to tell you something.
Yeah.
The bartenders that they were not like also like they didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So they will just telling you whatever they know at the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like eventually, I feel like we start doing that, like it happens to me. I don't want you to have to feel
for
that
sure.
thing, so I want to share this.
For sure.
And so then after you work at the whiskey bar, what happened?
So I worked at the whiskey bar. Then I started working in Harlem, and that was cool. And then after Harlem, it was Amor y Amargo. After Amor y Amargo, I had a personal thing I had to deal with, and then I finally dealt with it, and everything was cool, and then I went out for my first drink in 6 months or something, and I see a posting on Facebook about this bar that's looking for bartenders, but you have to start as a barback. And I know what the bar is, and I'm like, this is fucking cool. So I applied. They were very ambiguous. They didn't mention, the name or anything, but I knew exactly what it was for. And I was like, man, this is my dream. I would love to be here. I got hired, and I worked at Employees Only for 2 years as a bar back, and that was awesome. Really great community of bartenders, really amazing individuals that are really passionate. They have such a high standard. I was really, really fortunate, really lucky. And after 2 years, I ended up leaving. And I ended up going to Experimental Cocktail Club when they opened. And I got to like serve my mentor from ROKC, Joji, at Experimental Cocktail Club. And he had worked at the original in New York, and that was kind of cool to like see.
Cycle back, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, I ended up seeing that some of the drinks that he's put on his menu are like definitely inspired by some of the drinks that were on the original menu of Experimental Cocktail Club back when it was in New York. You know, they have their own classics. And that was really cool, like to just kind of have that full circle moment, you know. And then my now partner at Drink, Ricardo, he's one of the managers at Employees Only. And I would leave Experimental and I would go and hang out with him and, you know, shoot the shit while he's working. And then he hit me up one day. He was like, hey man, I know you want to open up a bar in New Orleans, but what about New York? And he told me the concept that he had and the space, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. You know, I like this. This is a special idea, you know.
And when did you guys started talking about the like?
I think we started talking sometime in the summer.
The summer of 2025?
Yeah.
Okay.
We started talking in the summer. I was like pretty sure this was gonna happen just before my birthday in September. In October, I was like, okay, this is happening. And then end of October, early November, I quit. Experimental, yeah, and I started focusing on the space and you know what we're gonna have to do. You know, there was a lot of things to clean. I mean, the place was closed for like a year and a half. You know, there was a lot of things that needed to be maintained, and you know, I mean, we tried to put in a lot of love. We're actually very lucky. We have an incredible landlord. You know, we wanted to make sure we did right by him. We did right by his space. You know, we redid his floors. We, you know, closed up all the brick, you know, so that it, you know, it used to be you would touch it and it would like crumble in your hand, you know, but we closed it all up. We closed all the holes. We put silicone everywhere. We added, you know, crown molding. You know, we maintenanced all of the, you know, different freezers, fridges.
If they haven't been touched for over a year.
Yeah, you know, there was a lot of work that we put in. You know, we definitely wanted to like kind of spruce up the place, but also, you know, it's hard opening up a bar. So there are certain things that like, you know, you can't afford to do. You know.
Yeah, especially in a city like New York, right?
Yeah. So but I'm very happy with the way it looks. I think it looks fucking great. I love it. I cannot wait to have you guys.
I can't wait to go, honestly.
But like it was you and Ricardo, but how many people were involved, like, you know, helping you out to clean and everything? Because I guess it was like...
I mean, it was like we had Ricardo, we had his wife, she came, Chris Torres, our, you know, tattoo artist, who's also one of the purveyors, his girlfriend, you know, Vicky, we had Chef Massimo, you know, he cleaned some stuff as well. I mean, there was like, you know, a lot of work to do. Yeah, a lot of stuff to do, you know, for sure. But it's cool. Like it's cool to like remember that. Like I have, you know, photos of before and after, and that's really kind of it's a point of contention for sure. Like it's really cool to me.
It's a proud moment, you know, from hearing that you wanted to work as a barback to now owning your own place. It's two separate, I see it kind of like lifetimes in a way, because in cat years, us, I'm gonna compare like our years to God's years because it doesn't seem like it, but 1 year could basically be 3 years, you know, in hospitality.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
You
me
know?
and my head of R&D, June, him and I were just talking about this yesterday. Where he was like, "Man, it doesn't feel like 3 fucking months. It feels a lot longer."
It feels longer sometimes.
You know.
Or time sometimes flies like that.
Yeah.
And we know time you're like almost hitting summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know.
So we have I think you have a moment of like that was super cool, like your video that you post and it became
yeah.
Oh, when you
viral.
open, I think that's just. So I want to hear the story first.
That's so
you
funny.
open.
This thing's nothing dies on the internet. I'll tell you that much. I was really defeated one night, and you know, it was like I didn't realize, like, okay, no marketing, no PR, no sign, you know, no online presence. You know, the place looks like it's a part of a brown. I mean, it looks like your building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what the outside looks like. You could never know
Exactly.
that anything's there, and you know, it's been closed for so long that people aren't anticipating anything to be there. You know, and it's winter time, so I can't exactly open the doors to be like, "Hey guys, come on in." Man, and there was like one day where like nobody showed up for like 4 hours, and I was like, "This is horrifying." Like we just opened, and it's, you know, dry January. You know, we're having snowstorms, and so I just posted this video. I knew it was gonna do well. Like I knew I was gonna get. I mean, it's TikTok, right? Like I had like 40 people following me, but I had a couple of videos at this point that have gotten, you know, 100, 150,000 views or something, having less than 50 followers or whatever. And I was like, man, this will probably get like 20 or 30,000 views. I think it got like 70,000 in an hour.
Wow. In
And
and
I was
out.
like, yeah, and I was like, holy shit. And it's just me, like, you know, I opened up a bar. I'm proud of it. I've been doing this for 15 years, and nobody's coming in. There's no butts and seats, you know, and it sucks. It's really heartbreaking, you know. And it was like 2 weeks after we opened. We did really well the first 2 weeks because there was like a bunch of industry people and this and that and friends and family coming, you know. But like that's not a maintainable business model.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You need to impact the community that you're surrounding.
You want your
You know,
regulars
yeah,
and-
you know, like there's a hospital like, you know, a stone's throw away, you know. Why aren't they coming in? There's all these luxury complexes. Why aren't they coming in? Other businesses, why aren't they visiting? I'm visiting all the other businesses, you know. And I post this video of me basically, you know, just sad. And, you know, being real raw and emotionally human, you know, showcasing like, I worked for this. And like,
I think that's what gains attraction, honestly, because being genuine and, you know, telling your story the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, you're not putting anything extra. It's just that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people connected a lot easily. I remember seeing the video too, because I was like, oh wow.
everyone's seen the video.
Yeah, and you know
I had people like that I haven't spoken to in 20 years reach out to me and be like, I saw your video. I was like,
Well,
shit.
come here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean it's
But so many people were like, I didn't know you opened a bar
No, me
until
neither.
I saw the video.
So I met
know?
I met you at the New York Bartending Week.
Yeah, I see your
Yeah.
trophy. It's, you know, I didn't get one. Yeah.
You didn't
No,
get
I
it?
didn't get one. She said like, I mean, her and Michael were congratulating me. I thought maybe I was supposed to get one. But it's nice of you to put it out there so that way every time I look at you I have to see the fucking trophy. That's good. It's good.
the
It's
one
like
that you didn't get.
a nice fuck you to me, yeah.
No, you know what?
I might own a bar, but at least I'm not New York Bartender of the Year or whatever.
No, so I wasn't even thinking about that, you know. But
Yeah.
I met you there because
Yeah.
that's why I met you, and then
Yeah.
I saw a picture with the same hairstyle that you have right now.
Yeah.
And when I saw the video, I was like,
Oh, this is the guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I met you, and I also met you through John, because John Ware was with me.
Yeah.
John Ware, There's this
Bruce
other guy.
also was there.
Bruce
Yeah,
was there,
Bruce
but
was there.
Bruce
Yeah.
came a little later.
Yeah.
There was a group of people that I met that I know, for years that I saw that, and they were talking to me like, "Oh, Peter," like, "Oh, I've never had the opportunity to talk to you in the past."
Yeah.
And
And look at us now. We're in your
look,
home.
we're talking,
Sitting on the
Amazing.
sitting
beach.
down.
The
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
No, but that video, obviously, it's like now you can laugh, but I imagine you feeling of, like you say, horrified.
Oh, it was bad.
Besides
man.
sad,
It was
it's like,
hard.
you
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
Yeah.
I can imagine that sensation of, like, putting all your money, or like, I don't know if you put all your money, but
Yeah, no,
money there.
it's hard. It's very
It's
hard.
emotionally
And then,
draining too.
thinking like, oh, I'm building the best bar because it's your idea, and then this super.
It doesn't have to be the best bar, but I would like people to consider it the bar they're the happiest at. That's enough for me.
Yeah, and I feel like people, I mean, in my own opinion, I didn't know. So I was like, and I drove through actually like a week ago. I drove through, and I saw the sign because you didn't have a sign.
No,
so
I
I
didn't.
saw the sign, and I was gonna stop, but it's on. I was driving. I don't know what I was going to, honestly, because it's like this is. Oh, that's when I was going. Actually, I know what I was going to. I was going to a pharmacy in the middle of Midtown. So it's the only pharmacy that stays open 24 hours. So I was driving, and I know I make a left, and I was like, oh, this is Drink33, and that's where I connected LB and Drink33.
Yeah.
But now I know what it is, so there's no way we're gonna be
Yeah.
we're gonna go. Like you guys are gonna go. We're all
Come
gonna
visit
go.
me
We're all
at
gonna
Drink
go.
for sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I got that sign through my homegirl. Two good friends of mine. They just opened up their own bar, actually as well. 40 Clinton, I believe.
Oh,
I'm so sorry if I fucked that address up. It's called Little Big.
Okay.
Yeah, Yassiri and Tim, they opened up this great bar.
In the Lower East Side or in
Yeah.
Brooklyn? Okay.
Lower East Side, yeah. It's really great little space in the front, and then this beautiful backyard in the back, like Caribbean and Eastern European cuisine.
Wow.
Both alumni from Double Chicken Please.
Oh yeah, I heard
Yeah,
about it actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool space. So they got a new sign, and they give us their old sign. And so I'm still using their old sign for now.
You know, the more you know.
I'm actually,
These are secrets.
I'm going to spray paint my balcony probably tomorrow. Hopefully by the time this airs, you'll be able to see. I'm gonna try to stencil the name of the bar and advertise that we do tattoos and cocktails.
Yeah.
To make it a little bit more understanding. Because I've also realized that, we have a sign that says drink open 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. That doesn't make any sense because they don't know that the place is called Drink. So they're just like,
A drink.
Drink is open. Like, okay, like, man, it's a great name, and I know in a few years I'm gonna laugh about it, but it does cause a lot of confusion in a lot of ways. But you know what? If it didn't, it wouldn't be us.
No, it makes it unique, Like
You
it
know?
makes it, and that's the concept.
Yeah.
That's what we want, and I think you have to stay true to what you want, your vision.
For sure.
Because that's what is gonna get you there. I was since you say you're gonna do something and probably help or have an event, and we can probably go and check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe we can interview some people there.
Yeah, that'd
when
be
they
great.
Go, and then we see if they see themselves in the video sometime. You know?
Yeah.
So like
That'd be
that's how we
cool.
help each other in the community.
For sure.
I feel like
Yeah, for sure.
this goes full cycle. I always see this, and I always say this: when you help a friend, the friend helps a friend, and it's like
For sure,
you
it's
have to help me
ongoing.
back. You have to
Yeah, you have to help
friend and a
someone
friend and a
else.
friend. And I think that's a good way to go. And like going back to like
For
bartenders, like teaching other guys or new
Yeah.
upcoming bartenders, because if you share that knowledge, if you share your time, your space, I think it's gonna help everyone. It doesn't help one person,
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you
it's
have to be,
ongoing,
like-
for sure.
And I don't know. That's how I've seen it. That's how I was raised.
Yeah.
And they say, if you have a banana, split it into 3. How do you split it? Right?
That's it.
I leave you guys with that question and you give me the answer. What do you guys think? People don't know how to speak banana tree.
But, coming back to your bar, now that you're a partner and you also part of the bartending decisions, how many people are working with you?
So on my bar team right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 4 of us. It's interesting because you have to be different with each person, and each personality is different, and you have to let them do things on their own, but you have to monitor, as well, a little bit. There's like training someone is 2 weeks, right? You go to any normal place, they train you 1 week, or you shadow 1 week, you train 1 week, there's your 2 weeks. But when you're also trying to teach people things, that's ongoing, that's not training, that mentorship or whatever, that doesn't stop after 1 week, 2 weeks, it keeps going, hopefully, until they outgrow you or your space and they do something better.
And how do you feel like bringing people with a little bit of experience or people with a lot of experience?
I learned something a while ago that I kind of use as my litmus test. Do I want to hang out with you? Do I want to spend time with you? Because I'm going to spend more time with you than anyone else.
That's true.
Right? So if I want to hang out with you, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we need to do to get you to where you need to be for it to be the right, steps of service. And, I think that it's always harder when you have someone with more experience, because they'll have habits that they could be misconstrued or considered as bad habits. Because it's not about you're doing the thing right or you're doing the thing wrong. It's about, this is how you do it here. Exactly. You know what I mean? Every place is different. So it doesn't matter how you did it, whether it was, a chain restaurant or a dive bar or a Michelin star restaurant or top 50, bar. Each place, it's going to have its own steps of service and things that you have to sort of follow and maintain, and it's about realizing that those things need to be learned, that's it. You need to learn it, and when you have a lot of experience, it might be harder for you to learn. It also might be harder for you to learn if you're new. Again, every person is different. Treat every person with respect, with dignity, and be humble and be grateful, because at the end of the day, bartenders work their ass off.
Depending on where you work, honestly.
It doesn't matter where you work.
Yeah, because
we work hard. We work really hard.
I thought you just shake things.
Yeah.
No.
That's what I tell my friend Lucas. I tell him this is all he does because he's at Blind Tiger. They just have beer. So I go, he just does this, pours the beer. No, but it's you could have something going on in your life, and you have to leave that shit at the door, and you have to.
Or talk about you. I have a bad day. I'm sorry if communication, I think, is
but the guest doesn't give a shit.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm sort of referring to. The guest, you got to leave that shit at the door. You're here to be a part of something larger than yourself, right? Hospitality is just about being hospitable.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best drink maker. You don't. You don't have to be the most creative. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable. You have to be the kindest, the most sincere,
And friendly.
That's it. The kindest and most sincere. You could make the worst drink on the planet, but if you're kind to your guest,
another one.
They'll get a couple more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you could have the best drink that they've ever had, and you're an asshole. They're not coming back, and they're remembering you as an asshole.
Yeah.
And they remember the space too.
Yeah.
It's not about much as the bartender, but they will remember the space.
Yeah.
I had this very bad experience a couple of weeks ago that my friend asked for a drink that has, it looks like a margarita or something, but she loves tajin, but like she's always like, put extra, right? But then it was a busy night. Then we didn't see that it has like anything on the menu, like saying a rim or whatever. So we didn't know that it comes with like a salt rim. So I told the bartender, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any way that we can add tajin to the rim?" And he was super rude. He says like, "So what do you want me to do? You want me to do another drink, but like this attitude also?" And I was like, "Are you a bartender?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, just change the freaking glass. Like that's it, right? Just put a new rim.
Yeah.
What's the problem with
Sure,
that, right?"
yeah.
And he was like, because I feel like, working in hospitality, you having a bar, even if it's a dive bar, doesn't mean you have to be rude. I
tend to
okay.
see that some of the best service you get is in like a dive bar.
I love this place. It was in Vernon Jackson. I can't remember the name of the place. Oh my God, I can't remember right now.
I don't think you love it. You don't even remember the name?
No, I used to go there because I used to run a bar program in a place called Bellwether, and that was like our late night.
Oh, you were
spot.
at Bellwether? Yeah?
Yeah, I
That's
was
cool.
there a long time ago when they first opened.
Yeah.
So I remember having like a beer and a shot, and the guy was there all the time. His name was Chris too. So I was like, we just walk in. He knew who we were. And he'll like line them up, like he'll line the shots, and he'd ready. We're gonna get a beer.
Yeah.
Like beer and a shot. That's what we normally drink. I don't want to start a cocktail. Like
Sure.
I'm done. I just want to take a beer and a shot and go my way.
For sure.
That happens sometimes. That used to happen. But he knew who we were. Like that connection, like the hospitality comes again.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Know that guy. These guys. Even if we're like part of like the service industry, like. There's a small connection. The same thing with Mother's Ruin. Talking about
I was just there. I had their chicken sandwich. I've never had it before.
The chicken sandwich and the burger. That's what I used to go for.
Oh, the chicken sandwich is so good.
I used to go there.
I was at their Austin location. Their Austin location is cool.
It's open. It's open
it's
like
really cool.
This year, last year, I think.
Last year. Yeah.
I used to go there also for the same thing. And then walking in, daiquiris. Like, they know. I'm like, if you work in the industry, like, they kind of like the daiquiri is kind of like the thing that you give to the people, unless you have something like a clarified thing. But it's just always something that you should give to. I mean, that you should never give, but we call it the amuse-bouche.
The amuse-bouche, that's it. Yeah, amuse-bouche.
So now,
you know what that means?
Yeah.
No, the term. It's to amuse.
To amuse
your mouth.
Yeah.
To entertain your mouth.
Yes.
Right?
It's for the aperitifs.
Yeah. So now that you have your own bar, do you ever think about like having? I mean, obviously you said that Ricardo knew that you want to open a bar in New Orleans, but when did?
Well, he didn't know. He knew I wanted to. It's not like I was nowhere near the steps of doing that. It was a really, really, really beautiful, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed dream.
Oh, okay.
But it was out there in the universe anyway.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah, I mean, listen. You think about these things for sure. I mean, I can't do what I'm doing forever. At a certain point, I have to think about my future.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now as an owner for your own bar?
I'm stressed. I'm grateful.
Different level of
grateful.
stress.
I'm grateful. That's it. I'm grateful. I'm thrilled. I look forward to the future. I think it's going to be cool.
I think that's the passion and the vision. Looking ahead. That's what I always tell Nuri. Like when you start something, you don't start and change things overnight. Like things don't just appear. You don't. I mean, even as a kid, you just don't. You're not born and run then 2 miles, right?
Yeah.
So basically, like, and this
Definitely
is the one thing
not.
I think now we'll go back to the social media point. Now we want everything fast and now and want it to happen, but when things take time, you build up the consistency in your clientele. And going back to the neighborhood, I mean, the neighborhood is gonna start seeing that you guys are there, and I feel like it just takes one person to go in there, right?
It always takes one person.
The next person is gonna bring another one, and then another one, and another one, and I feel like that's just what it is. I mean, we can start by drinking some, like one of the martinis very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna go there and have
For sure.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
It's been awesome. I
you
love
guys so
your-
much.
I love the idea of like you being a barback, dealing with this.
I'm still in my Instagram. It says lead barback forever clocked in. That's what it says.
Would you like to share your
It's-
Sure.
Instagram?
My Instagram is @PeterGasm.
We're gonna
It's like an orgasm, but I'm included. And then
It's an organ.
That's exactly. And then the bar's Instagram is @Drink33 NYC. So
Follow the bar. Follow Peter.
We're gonna put it also on around here. I don't know.
Yeah.
around right somewhere around here.
Somewhere here.
Somewhere right here, maybe over here. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Or maybe.
I don't think I've looked at that camera the entire
Yeah.
time.
It's okay.
Just take a look at every camera. You can get every angle.
If you guys have any drinks at the bar, let us know in the comments which ones you guys have, and
Drink33,
so we can
let
go
us
and
know,
drink it.
How do you
Let's
like
go.
it? But yeah, thank you so much, Peter,
Guys, thank
for
you so much.
for,
I really
for
appreciate
sharing
it.
your time.
Of course.
I know it's a busy day for you, and we love your story.
I'm grateful to be here.
So
Thank you guys.
we
Thank you.
are very proud to, show another New Yorker that is like
Hell yeah.
passionate about hospitality, is passionate about your drinks, and also you're helping another bartenders to know about you and your work and training people. That's amazing. So
That's so kind.
thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I don't want to leave without saying if you guys like this episode, let us know. Also, if you guys want to see more episodes like this, go to our website, www.bartalkingbar.ayc.com. We have, or any favorite platforms. I mean, I prefer one than the other sometimes if I'm running.
But yeah, whatever we're in all the
Whichever you
platforms.
like.
So
www.bartalkingbar.com. Let's fucking go, baby.
That's right.
thank you so much. See you next week, and thank you. Another one.
Let's go.
Another one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye,
Thank you.
guys.
See you later, alligator. See me a drink.
Yeah.
That's it.